Hello and welcome to the Throttle Cable. I'm Rob, and today on the 996 I'm just doing a little project on the number plate Plinth. If you've watched the channel, you might have noticed a couple of the cars have cover plates, and I'm swapping them around on the car, and that's made me want to reduce the size of the number plate Plinth on the front of the 996. Now, a standard length UK number plate, a la this one, measured in old money, is 20.5 inches long, and that's the sort of standard width. The number plate carrier on the front of a 996 is 17 inches, and this is a slightly reduced size number plate. This one is 18 inches, so with a slight overhang left and right. Now lastly is this one. This is my other shorter private plate. It's only got 5 digits on it, and I believe this one is about 13 or 14 inches long. 13 inches long, this one, so it's a fair bit shorter than that 17-inch carrier. So I want to reduce the size of the carrier, so I've got a little bit of overhang. I don't have a big black sort of boxy carrier poking out from either side. It's worth saying that that's a legal number plate, because the length of a number plate is not derived by a specific size length that you have to have. It's meant to be the space around the characters, so that you have to have a certain amount of plate beyond the character for it to be legal, and I think it's about 10 or 12 mil, if I remember rightly. But I leave that up to the plate people, to PFC I use, to get the plates right for me. So, right, little project. Let's trim down that number plate carrier. So this is the difference in the plates side by side, and that's the smallest legally allowed spacing for the plate. So that's the sort of size I want the plinth to be, to negate all of this extra bit of plastic around the front of the car. So when I look at the actual plinth, there's quite an easy to use line there across the side of the plastic. So just on the other side of here is where I'm starting to make a cut. So I can get a nice straight edge next to that support, and that'll be the initial trim to reduce the size of this plinth. Alright then, so with both bits cut, that are my 2 trimmed areas. That becomes my new plinth. And the width of the plate has a nice overhang. I'm going to test fit it like that to see what it looks like, because my only concern is I've got some slightly ugly edges now on the side, which I might need to do something further about, perhaps by reusing the capping off the end of one of those. So let's have a quick peek. To try and use the capping on the end, I'm going to use this line at the top now, so that helps me get a straight line straight across the unit, and I'm going to see if that capping can work on the end of the plinth as it stands. Okay, so here are all the parts cut apart. So these are my caps. It may look like it doesn't quite align here, but on the end you always have this little part that stands down further, so it stands out proud about that much compared to the rest of the plinth. So yeah, when you put them together, they will nicely align, and I'll have a much shorter plinth in keeping with this number plate. Let's see if I can glue them together. Et voila! One trimmed down plate. Now, yeah, glued it with super glue. The super glue I have, actually, if you need some, this is for window fitters. I had it left over from fitting my jazzy new double glazing, from the Eurocell shop that sells windows. It was like pennies, about 70p, and it's a massive pot of super glue. They use it for gluing on caps on the end of windowsills and trimmings around. Really quite helpful. Yeah, all glued up, it's solid. I'm going to give it a little rub just to make sure it's nice and clean, and then I'm going to dress it with a bit of back to black. That should be good to go. The only annoying thing is where you trim it, here, that's one kind of curve, a bit like this hole. Towards the end of the plate there was that little curve, otherwise it would have been a bit easier to stick. But fortunately behind it, all of these bits line up as if they were meant to be that way. So it looks like it's pretty darn strong, which is good. Well, tip bloody top. I think that looks amazing. So I used a little bit of this bad boy, black trim restorer. Yeah, kind of makes the colouring look brand new. I sanded these couple of spots where I put my Velcro tabs to stick my plate on. So if you ever tried to stick anything to these, they're a nightmare. So I've just grazed it up with a bit of emery to make sure it sticks. Then yeah, should be able to mount it up on the front and job's a good un. Happy days. If you ignore the bugs splashing all over the front of the car, I'd say that's a pretty good job. Let's whip the plate on. Oh yes, suits you, sir. I think the plate is going to need to have a little bit of heat on it to make it curve. It's very, very straight at the moment. When I look at it, it's like one straight line. I need to get it a little bit of curve in it, but then it's perfect. So yeah, tinsy little project, turned out good. So here's an idea that works quite well if you want to bend a number plate. And no, it's not the lovely balls that children play with. It is a couple of weights, block of wood under the middle, your number plate, and glorious sunshine beating down on it. And that is nicely forming my number plate to a curve. If I just take these off, you'll already see. Look at that, 996 perfect curvature. So it should make it a lot easier to place on the front of the car. Otherwise, it's a nightmare putting a plastic plate on the front of the 996 because of the curve. There you go, little tip.